What it do? This is your brother Bishop of Bishop Zone TV, and today I am coming with a throwback for your ass. Yes, we're gonna talk about the short-lived series called South Central. Not to be confused with the movie, but the TV series South Central that premiered in the 90s. Matter of fact, April 5th, 1994. Yes. Now, we gotta talk about this show, man, because it was a really underappreciated show. It only lasted one season, 10 episodes. Yes, one season and 10 episodes. And, you know, a lot of people don't remember this show. If you were in the 90s, you might remember this show, but for the most part, a lot of people, just, don't know that this actually existed, which I can't blame them. Like I say, it lasted one season. The show premiered on Fox Network. Yes, that Fox Network. And it premiered alongside The Rock, or Rock, not The Rock, but Rock, which was another dope, great black sitcom that lasted longer than this show. And A Living Color, and I believe Martin too, around this time, also was out during this time. But basically, South Central was created by Ralph Farquhar and Michael J. Whithorn. Yes. And if you are familiar with Ralph Farquhar, he's also helped co-create shows like Moesha, The Parkers, and he's had his hand in so many different iconic TV shows and films, especially when we're talking about black representation in this industry. So let's just go down a synopsis real quick, man. So this series was set in 1990, South Central LA, hence South Central, and it dealt with the lives of an African-American family that goes by the name of the Mosleys. And man, at that time, LA was really popular in hip hop, rap. Of course, you had the LA riots that just took place, or the revolt, should I say. So LA, it was one of those hot cities at that time, especially for black representation. So the show dealt with such topics as gang violence, drugs, dating, sex, school, and unemployment. Now, it follows the single mother, actually a divorced mother, who goes by the name of Joan Mosley, played by Tina Lifford. Yes, she's played in countless films throughout her career. Very talented actress, but she's raising 3 children with no assistance from her ex-husband. Yes, her older son, Marcus, has been killed. Or he was killed. He was murdered years earlier by a gang member. And so, Joan, she's having some financial issues, of course, raising 3 kids by herself, and then also dealing with the loss of her son, Marcus. Yeah, the show, this show is pretty deep. We don't really go into it. But so, her remaining children is Andre, which is played by none other than Lorenz Tate. Yes. And Tasha is played by Tasha Scott. That's the daughter. And then they also have a foster son who his name is Deon Carter, and he's played by Keith Mumbulo. Yes. And of course they have a great supporting cast. Her friend Sweets, played by Paula Kelly, and Andre's mentor, Dr. Ray McHenry, played by Ken Page. If you, like I said, if you grew up in the 90s, you are familiar with these actors and actresses. And also, they had many different stars that kind of got their, career kicked off in this show. Which, Jennifer Lopez, she played in Living Color. She was one of the fly girls in Living Color, so we know who Jennifer Lopez is. Also, Shar Jackson, who played on Moesha. Maya Campbell, come on now, we know Maya Campbell, even though she's gone through some troubles as of recent, but you got to give her flowers when it's due. She was a big pivotal moment, especially in a lot of, boys' lives growing up, she, had a crush on her back in the day. And of course they had other, recurring actors on the show, most famously Lamont Bentley, who, he passed away. He played on Moesha. He played as Lorenz Tate homeboy, Rashad. Of course, we had Clifton Powell. Everybody knows who Clifton Powell is, which, by the way, you got to give credit to the creators of the show because they cast Clifton Powell as a positive role. And for y'all who everybody knows Clifton Powell is, if you watch black films, he's in damn near 97% of all black films and TV shows that have ever premiered in this industry, right? So Clifton Powell, he's typecast in a lot of villainous roles. But this role here specifically, he played an entrepreneur. He owned a grocery store and he was an activist, a community activist. So it was a very positive role here. And this show at the time, it got a lot of praise for being so real and oftentimes dark, displaying urban life in South Central, and I know what some people would think because you're talking about a single mother raising 3 children in the ghetto, that this is stereotypical. And yes, on the surface, it seems stereotypical. You could say, well, why not showcase family life? Why not show it in a black affluent community like the Cosbys? But what I can say is this show, from what I can remember, and then I've gone back and looked at some, syndicated episodes. This show actually showed a human side of people in the hood, like it wasn't just stereotypes. It wasn't empty caricatures. It was actually really heartfelt, real, authentic characters, and it was needed at the time. And I think is needed during today, especially. So this show was, you can kind of say it was the predecessor to Moesha. Moesha was more lighthearted and it was centered around an actual family, a husband and his wife and their kids. But this show was just as impactful in a short amount of time. Unfortunately, it was canceled. And, Fox has never came out and said why it was officially canceled, or what they did. They gave an excuse, but it wasn't a good enough excuse. So let's just go down as to why they claimed that, they canceled the show, which was basically, in their words, due to decline in ratings. And that was pretty much of the entire night of programming. So that, Fox pretty much canceled Rock, which was a black show, The Sinbad Show, and In Living Color during the same period. Which, again, all these shows were black sitcoms at the time. And, like I said, hey, they say we had to cancel it. It wasn't getting the ratings that it needed in order to keep up. And it even prompted Jesse Jackson to call for a boycott of the network for perceived institutional racism. But of course, Fox wasn't going to say, yeah, we don't want these niggas on TV. We got a wider and wider audience to appeal to. We can't have this real hood shit on TV. And it wasn't real hood, like as far as like we're showing buffoonery and coonery. It was showing authenticity and a heart in the hood. And of course, that probably didn't appeal to America at the time. It appealed to black America, but not the rest of America, And let me just say this. Shows like this at the time, especially during the 90s, were very short-lived. And a lot of times it has everything to do with racism, because a lot of shows, a lot of these creators, a lot of these people in positions of power at these networks, they don't really understand black culture, and they don't know how to promote and market black culture. And a lot of times it's because of institutional racism. They don't hire black writers, black producers to create these shows. And not only these shows, but they just don't have enough black representation within these networks. And we're talking about the 90s. We're not talking about now, we're talking about the 90s. So a lot of times black sitcoms will be very short-lived. They wouldn't get a chance to get a second season. And unfortunately, this show, which happened to be a really, really dope show, didn't get a second season. Matter of fact, there's a film that premiered on HBO back in 2000 called Dancing in September, which I might do an episode of that as well. But Dancing in September starred Isaiah Washington and Nicole Ari Parker. And Nicole Ari Parker played a struggling screenwriter, and Isaiah Washington played a producer. And basically, she was a screenwriter who was writing shows, and she wanted to write a positive black sitcom. Of course, she was, butting heads with her peers, which were predominantly white, and she got a chance to present this sitcom that she was working on to the producer, Isaiah Washington, which of course he was having troubles getting certain types of content out because he was a black producer in a space that was dominated by white producers, white executives, white directors. And like I said, this movie came out in 2000, and it was an HBO original film, and it was a really, really dope film. Like I say, I'm probably gonna do an episode on that one as well. But if you get a chance, it's actually available on YouTube. Check that out. And also check out South Central, because all these things are available on YouTube to watch and view. You had to be there because the shit was dope. Very, very dope film that talks about in depth the struggles that black writers, black producers have getting these types of content to the masses in a white dominated space. So South Central, man, it was a dope show. South Central, not to be confused with the film South Central. This is not like a offspring of South Central. And I know what some people might think, because you see Lorenz Tate braids, you think, okay, is this like the sequel to Menace to Society? Because it was in South Central as well, but no, it's not. It's a separate character, same dookie braids, So yeah, man, if you get a chance, look up South Central. Maybe we can see this premiering on BT, UPN, even though, like I said, it was 10 episodes, very short lived, but it was a really, really, really good show. Everybody played fantastic jobs, and we got to give them their flowers. And maybe we can do, a revised version of this, just a more updated version, but hey, that's another topic for another day. So if you like this video, or if you don't like this video, leave a comment below. Let me know what you think about South Central. If you're familiar with it. If not, man, just watch it. It's available for free on YouTube. Very, very dope content, I promise you. Till next time, holla at your brother.